team second pick, like here on the red side, just go for like Thresh and Jinx, this kind of thing. It feels so incredibly strong right now. But then when you look at the teams that are playing, like Eric and JinJiao and Betty and Chocho are not the kind of teams that you think of slow scaling AD carry and a defensive support, right? You think of all-in supports. You think of things like the Rakan and the Leona. So it doesn't quite feel like the identity of these teams. That said, it's a new year, so maybe that'll change over the course of things. But the Olaf is going to be the first pick. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is the first Olaf seeing this year.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of these two picks though. I agree with you. I think even with the Thresh specifically is such a big one, right? Because you kind of deny the Jinx pick by taking the Thresh away here, because you can go, okay, well, I can then take a Felios, even if you take the Jinx, but now you've got Jinx with no Lulu, no Thresh. He's a sitting duck. You can set up for a lot of these aggressive plays, but by not taking that the nice counter pick for the Braum as well. So not exactly like anyone's legend setting themselves up in the best of spots. Now, if you go with the Aphelios, it's kind of like, okay, well, that doesn't really work out. Looks like they'll go towards the AP option in the Ziggs, but it just seems like a bit of a strange one here for anyone legends. Just
I'm really confused by this Braum pick though with Thresh available, right? That does feel weird because Thresh is such a good matchup against Leona. It's perfect for Jinx. It feels like I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased towards Thresh or something, but I don't know why you would, in this situation, pick Braum over Thresh. I'm getting too heavy.
The only reason I can think is, like, you're worried about the Olaf and, like, not being able to hook or flay or any of those kind of shenanigans, and Braum at least can block the axes and stuff, and that's kind of the idea you're going for. But I still think just how strong Lantern is or Jinx, you can still get her out of the equation, right? You don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an odd one for me. I would have preferred the Thresh, but we'll have to see. Braum can still work pretty well, especially if they are going to go for this this Ziggs pick, being able to block a large amount of the damage that Jinx wants to toss out in the early stages.
I'll have to see. Bans coming on through, though. It's going to be Galio banned away by anyone's legend, and it'll be Gangplank. I was not expecting to see a Gangplank ban today, I'll be totally honest, but I can understand it. That Essence Reaver into lethality build is real scary if you're a squishy carry like Eric will be on this Jinx. So definitely a different draft to the first series of the day. Vex going to be taken off the board as well. So these roaming mids trying to be denied by Yeji.
We still have the one that, like, G played a lot last year, which was like the likes of the Rise. And he still had the LeBlanc there as well, which could actually work like pretty well against what anyone's legend is trying to do, right? You can burst down the Olaf relatively fast, so the whole lack of CC doesn't matter. Same when it comes to Ziggs, right? And you've got that mobility, which makes it a little bit more difficult for Olaf and Ziggs to lock you down and play towards. But what I have to see is actually, it looks like Forge basically reading the same game plan, gonna take that one off the board.
Yep, the LeBlanc just such an incredibly strong pick as well. And when you think of Forge, you do think of Assassins. Not necessarily the LeBlanc, but Assassins is generally the style that Forge tends to lean towards, so hopefully can get some work done, and certainly a very strong jungle 2v2 here coming out from anyone's legend.
And I wouldn't be surprised here if we end up going back towards the Viktor or the Syndra. Viktor can do really well against this LeBlanc matchup, especially now with the Crown of the Shattered Queen. Can actually win that matchup once he manages to get a little bit of levels in. So setting himself up really nicely, and looks like Yeji's just going to go back towards that. So ton of long range coming through on LGD side. Great engage going to be coming through as well with the likes of the JinJiao to try and set that up. And maybe they end up going back towards, well, I was going to say the Renekton, but that's gone. But I certainly think you want something that can provide a secondary engage tool alongside this JinJiao, or carry through in team fights. Just because right now JinJiao isn't really enough to lock down the likes of like the LeBlanc or the Ziggs.
Well, we've got to go for a blind pick in the top lane here, and it's going to be, I mean, that could be Viktor top. That could be Viktor top. We've seen it more recently rather than the Akali. I'll have to wait and see. Flexible draft here from LGD.
I would imagine it is the Akali top. Just simply because it means you can do a lot better against a lot of matchups, and Viktor blind is not the best of ideas, because as we can see, Jack's pretty good at jumping on Viktor and killing him. Camille, very good at knocking down Viktor and killing him. So, and is when looks like looks like it's going to be that Akali top. So I think right now, LGD, you're going to end up trying to play some strange 1-3. I don't like this Akali pick. Like, you're now opted into some strange kind of 1-4. You just have better scaling for anyone's legend in a side lane in the Akali Camille matchup. LeBlanc plays side lane better than you, and you're already set up for a fantastic team fight, right? You have great zone control coming through from the Braum, the Viktor, ton of space for the Jinx. If you added a Ken into that, it's just so difficult for anyone's legend to try and play well. So JoJo can kind of leave early for Rift Heralds and try and set up for some early success there. So it feels like you have a lot of tools here in the early stages for the anyone's legend to play towards that top side and try and get the advantages that they need for the Camille. So if that ends up happening and you can get the side lane control for anyone's legend, I would give them definitely advantage.
Oh,
there it is.
It's already kicked off. That's the kind of mojo I'm talking about. It's going to be 2 kills, 3 kills gone down. It's a 2-1 in favor of LGD, and it's a hell of a start to the match.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big advantage, though, for Fearness, right? You get that early kill. You can see that cloth armor already picked up. Like, that's going to help out pretty significantly against both ZDZ and Xiaohao. But you're just going to replay in the bottom side. Looks like AL just picking up a little bit more than they could chew off the back of this.
Yeah, not very good at chewing. Ever since the dentures, they're still trying to get used to him, so it's been difficult, and showing us that in the river. That's what they always say. If you get dentures, don't go in the river. You'll get infected. I don't know. This is a weird cast so far. This is a very weird cast.
Look, we went from EDG JG hype to talk about fungi and dentures. You know, just a regular day at the office here, Bert.
You've got to level your cast to the game, and I feel like when we're talking anyone's legend versus LGD, I feel like it's got to get a little bit weird. It's got to get a little bit spicy. You've got to match the gameplay here. So far, 2-1. And crucially, a kill for Fearness and a kill for Shadow. Those are the two guys that, when we're looking at the picks, they need to be popping off in the early game.
Yeah, and as we said, like, it helps out massively for Fearness, but also in that 1v1 for Shadow going to help out. Now, Xiaohao still has a pretty sizable advantage in this, especially if you can have, like, Forge who can lean across very quickly, or ZDZ, or even Chocho who can help out. So I think you're still going to be relatively okay for Xiaohao, who has a kill for himself, but certainly Shadow should be able to make some plays happen in this top side, working with Fearness just off that kill if he wants.
See what they're going to be able to... I'm kind of like struggling to get into the normal casting mode of like talking win conditions and talking jungle pathing after a level 1 like that. I feel like it throws all of the standard stuff out of the window when these lanes don't necessarily have the normal starts for themselves. But in terms of the pathing, we've seen Xiaohao go up top, we've seen Shadow move down towards the bottom side. But the bottom lane not really in a position to be able to gank here. It's very pushed in. So it should mean, though, Shadow can just go for that Scuttle Crab for free on the bottom side. Same for Xiaohao on the top lane.
I will say, though, something that we haven't really touched on is actually this mid matchup. Yeji did a really good job of punishing Forge in those early levels, managed to shove in the wave. He's now reset, got himself a Doran's ring, and can just walk back to lane. So a lot of freedom here for Yeji and how he wants to try and play out the rest of this laning phase, especially as we start to look towards like later objectives. You now have that opportunity to go, okay, 6.5 minutes into the game, I'm going to reset, pick up something like my my last chapter, reset in towards mid lane and play off of that push in towards Rift Herald plays. So nicely done from Yeji to get this little advantage that could pay dividends here.
Yeah, very nicely done here. And I am curious to see how Yeji plays. He's a player that I think some people are very curious. And, you know, when you say his name like that, it does kind of sound like Reggie Yates, the BBC presenter years ago. So that does get me a little bit excited. But then his name is
God. So that's why I'm like, yeah, G, because it's the G for God, right? That's my logic.
But I will say, Yeg, there's an argument to be made. It does sound a lot like Egg. Yeah. We'll see if he's going to be able to nog Forge in this lane. But so far, Forge with the push and a 6 or almost 10 CS advantage as he continues there. We've got Shadow just going for a normal clear. Xiaohao moving into this bottom side of the jungle. and maybe an opportunity for a pick, but QiuQiu spotted on a ward. It's Forge and Xiaohao. They really want to find Shadow. They're just going to be chilling, but I don't think Shadow's interested for now.
I really like what we're seeing though, right? We talked about how you can actually like relieve the pressure from QiuQiu on this bot lane and move it in towards the jungle, and they're doing a really good job of it here on Anyone's Legends. And if you can find Shadow, and especially with the CC that QiuQiu can provide, there's very little escape for him, and you see Shadow being forced to back away here with again QiuQiu threatening the jungle.
I like this pressure coming out from Anyone's Legend. Understanding where they have priority, understanding that they can be a little bit more aggressive, and Shadow actually moving down towards the bottom side. We did see some pings on towards the chickens on the top side. Shadow's been slowed though. Undertow coming on through. Forge trying to follow up, and a flash forced out from Shadow. He could have gone up towards that top side, but looking to contest, and now jumping on Xiaohao instead. Yeg moving over as well. Chaos Storm actually goes wide. That's a bit of a disaster for him, as Forge now level 6 will have a lot of damage available. Chains come on in, QiuQiu to follow up, and an Undertow to finish it all off. Xiaohao with another kill. 2-2 on the scoreboard now as the flash forward to Q the minion. JinJiao, it's a disaster.
Look, he's an AD carry, all right? Swapping to support. It's a little bit of a toughie trying to make sure that you're getting the Qs right, but unfortunately, JinJiao doesn't get the angle, and now you're in a phenomenal spot as Anyone's Legend, right? We talked about them loving to get these early kills so they can turn them into skirmishes. Well, this is exactly what they wanted. An early skirmish in River. Shadow goes over the wall, but QiuQiu's just been sitting in Xiaohao's back pocket this whole time. And Xiaohao's able to set up beautifully to get G and Shadow baited forward to set up for this kill.
Yeah, nicely done here by Anyone's Legend here. I keep on almost saying Absolute Legend. If I call them Absolute Legend, just
it's
run
so
with
hard.
it, guys. Let's all just pretend that that's the name. Let's be honest. Sing. Yeah, I will say, I just want to re-clarify something you mentioned there. JinJiao is an AD carry player. Currently, you know, with these mid laners coming in and with a lot of the imports, it's not possible for them to play in week #1. So a lot of these teams are not going to be at their full strength right now. So JinJiao, yes, he messed up, but he's not actually a support player. He's an AD carry player. He's listed as an AD carry on the roster, so cut him a little bit of slack, chat, okay?
I am worried for them, though, because you've now given 2 kills over to this Olaf, who's going to start pathing up towards this Rift Tower in just a moment. You've got full push from Benny on bot side. It feels like Anyone's Legend can start to, like, teeter this into more and more opportunities for themselves. But as I say that, QiuQiu goes forward. I don't know if they want this.
Damage from Betty, though. He's hitting his skill shots, that's for sure. Very nice trade. QiuQiu basically did get in at all, and Betty still won the trade 2v1. Very nicely done. Bit of pressure in this bottom side, and crucially, Ziggs can kind of undo a lot of what Jinx wants in the early game, right? Where she can quite often get pushed and out range. Well, not against Ziggs.
It's one of the tougher matchups for it, and why we kind of saw Anyone's Legend just go, right, we're not going to take the Jinx. They were happy to just take the Ziggs into this matchup. But again, like, it's not like Anyone's Legend are actually playing for the big objectives like I thought they would, especially when you've got, like, the Olaf, you got a pushing lane. You can very easily play towards Rift and Dragons. Instead, they're just playing to put Shadow behind. You can already see Xiaohao up on CS, has that level advantage. It looks like he's just perfectly happy to just take over when it comes to this matchup.
Yeah, just consistently invading in that bottom side. But it does mean Shadow can now move up towards the top side instead. But the thing is, they don't have priority in any of these lanes. It feels like Absolute Legend has priority. Absolute Legends. Anyone's Legends have priority in all 3 lanes, at least for the time being. Xiaohao gets the Drake, and now he'll move up, potentially contest this Herald as well. Forge, he's low on HP, but his teleport is about to come up. I'm not sure if it'll be up in time to be able to get a reset. Doesn't look like it. Forge moves in. He's got a bit of honey fruit. That'll have to do it for now. QiuQiu stepping in to try and get control. Fearness is there. In they go. Zenith Blade there. ZDZ jumping in as well. And immediately Shadow is blown up. But it's actually Viktor to proc the eye and finish off the Herald. Now ulti comes out from ZDZ. He'll go down. Double kill for Yeji. And that's going to be a nice little play for LGD because they also managed to get themselves the Herald. And it was all off of Yeji's back.
It was so messy from Anyone's Legend, just not actually coordinated on how they wanted to get in towards River. You could see both Forge and Xiaohao trying to move in first, but they don't have like QiuQiu who could have moved up. They didn't wait for Betty. They just tried to force the issue far too quick and end up paying for it. We'll see it here in the replay, right? Like, you've got QiuQiu there. Forge has only come up, but look at where Betty is on the map, where almost everyone is here from LGD. Jinx in the back line, but Xiaohao burst out just straight off the bat. That's your strongest member of anyone's legend just gone. And from that point forward, you don't really have any DPS left in the tank. Forge has already used his full combo, whereas LGD are able to continue to pump out the damage.
Yeah, and Yeji's just chilling the whole time. Nobody focused on him whatsoever, so he could just crank that damage out. And guess what? He had a Dark Seal before that fight, so now he's on 4 stacks. Yeah. He's got his boots at a Lost Chapter. He's got the Rift Herald as well. He was the one to hit the eye, and then he was also the one to pick up the Rift Herald. So that's going to be plate gold that's funneled into him. Feels like Yeji, we were saying that these mid laners need to have a statement game to try and earn their spots full time on the roster. Well, it's certainly a good start for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been punishing Forge consistently. Like, this is a matchup pre-level 6 that goes relatively even, right? It kind of needs jungle intervention, but Forge just hasn't been able to connect with so much of this damage, and Yeji's been taking big advantage of it.
He is so far. Let's see if he can continue to do so. Xiaohao been out of the mid lane there. Forge just clearing up the minions, but when we're looking across the board right now, CS advantages are ever so slightly in favor of LGD. Now, just dropping that Herald, I think Yeji realizing he's not going to get a huge opportunity to finish a tower with that, so just take the 2 plates. Will get rooted up, but the rest of his team is there to protect him. Means that nice bit of gold going in again for the side of LGD, and that means that they're now over 1,000 gold ahead of their opponents.
And I think it's the best call there to just plant the Rift Herald, because it's not like you're really going to get much time as Yeji to roam onto the map. So instead, just kind of going, right, let's just use it, get the gold while we can, and move on to elsewhere. So LGD, as he's saying, like 2k gold lead, well, that was 1.5k gold lead for themselves. Going to be able to try and keep this pressure up where they're just looking to farm, get towards this late game team fight, and hope that Fearness can kind of play backline assassin while Yeji and Eric are just taking advantage of how strong they are attacking from the front.
We'll have to see. It does feel like, in the grand scheme of things, with the Jinx and the Viktor, it's going to be a slow game plan for LGD, so them being ahead should signal a bit of a slower pace of game, and does mean that things can become difficult for Forge, right?
Sorry, I'm heartbroken for Eric. He missed the last CS, and there was 1 stack left of his coal, so he couldn't reset. So I had to stay for the next wave, so then he could actually get the coal finished. There we go. That's it done. So Eric should be able to back now and have a good amount of gold there, especially if you're looking across at Betty's already got his Leandri's Anguish complete.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty early Leandri's as well. Drake coming up in 50 seconds as well. First Drake already went the way of anyone's legends, but now they're 2,000 gold behind. The question is if they can actually still contest the streaks and still go for that. The fact that there's no mythic on Eric could be a big thing. There's a double chain though onto Yeji and a dive. Xiaohao cares not. Flashing underneath the tower. Shadow trying to finish him off. Rocket goes wide, but it's answered by Shadow to get one for himself. And I think that was a shutdown as well, but it might have already gone. But that should be potentially Drake for LGD. This Forge actually goes back in. Shadow happy to go for a 2v1 here. QiuQiu really not adding much to the formula at this point in game. A bit more damage coming down. Solar Flare. Shadow's underneath the tower, but a bit of damage reduction there. As in goes Fearness for more. QiuQiu low. And Fearness with a double kill. That's 3 on the board for him. And LGD, they're just popping off.
Yeah, there was something that you said, Munch, in one of the podcast, which was if you're playing Forge over Maple, you might be kind of int. It is not going well for Forge thus far. Ends up giving over the 2 kills there now to Fearness. LGD have control over the dragon. This has just been a messy mid lane for Forge, and yeah, G has been coming up trumps because of it. Now you've got dragon, and we're gonna see it here, right? Like, there is no hope in hell Forge, after just using pretty much his full combo to take down the enemy jungler, is going to be able to turn this fight. He goes in, easy kill for Fearness, and allows Fearness to go in and set himself up for the double on towards QiuQiu. So
what you're suggesting is that wasn't worth stepping forward to get 1 Q. It only cost him 2 deaths. Oh, come on. I'd say that's worth any day of them.
200 health for double that amount of gold.
Yeah. Shadow is going 1v3 here. Another questionable decision. There's a rocket. Is it the season finale or what? Because that's a lot of damage. Chocho flashes away Fearness behind them, and he's fed as all hell. Look at that damage as the Ziggs goes down. 2 more for Fearness. 5 kills on the board. And Yegg is chasing him down. I was trying to think of a rhyme for running that ends in egg, but I don't think there is one. And mate, this is chaos. This is pure chaos. LGD just absolutely taking over these fights, though.
I mean, it's Fearness, right? Fearness is now 5-1 on Akali. This Akali's going to be huge in team fights. And even though we're like, yeah, you know, ZDZ can do pretty well when he gets in towards like the late game where he's looking to scale. I mean, Fearness is just too large at this stage. It really does not matter. It's going to be such a long time until ZDZ is able to actually like answer for that. And yeah, I mean, the chances for anyone's legend in these fights are just drifting further and further away with each kill that's going over to LG.
And the fact that Fearness is getting the ball as well, that's the scary part. They're all getting put onto just one player. Is, you know, Eric setting this one up alongside JinJiao. I mean, let's be honest, Shadow setting this one up as he tried to, you know, force them to stay so the rest of the team could arrive. Fearness got low. I guess they were making a play towards the top side there during the replay. I mean, just look at the gold difference. It's already 4,000, even over that. And the Herald is onto the map here. You can expect Shadow probably wants to start that one off.
Yeah, I mean, for LGD, though, like, they can pretty handily trade this for mid lane turret, right? It means that you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place as anyone's legend. Even with Fearness back, the second you move over towards Rift Herald and dedicate resources there, LGD just take your mid lane turret, so they effectively get what they want from that Rift Herald anyway. So for anyone's legend, they're forced to back away, which then gives LGD control over the Rift Herald, which, lo and behold, gives the mid lane turret. It's a nice little formula for LGD where they always come out on top.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far for LGD, and I have to say, my expectations were not super high for anyone's legend anyway, but for LGD, I'm pleasantly surprised by at least some of the mechanics that we're getting to see. Fearness especially, not a top laner that I've been excited for in the past, so it feels good to see Fearness having such a great early game for himself.
Yeah, I mean, people will know Fearness probably more as Cult. We used to play quite a while ago, played in behind Wise on LGD for a good while. But he hasn't really been able to like pop off in a lot of manners as he used to. And he used to be kind of, at least in my head, known for like more the kind of the Renekton's, the Aatroxes, and you kind of just sit there and play his fighters and not do a huge amount. But certainly when LGD are giving him resources like we're kind of seeing, it actually works out really, really well. And especially if he's willing to pick up these assassins and play more carry-oriented top lanes, this is a lane now that LGD can continue to funnel and play around as the split goes on.
Yeah, I feel like his Camille was the one that would come to mind for me. And his Camille is decent, but it wasn't like, you know, we've got a lot of good Camilles in the LPL. And it didn't feel like there was much expansion beyond that. But, you know, going for an Akali top, not a pick that I was expecting to see today, and being able to bring out this kind of performance certainly is a positive start to the split for a player like Fearness. And, you know, I think a lot of people at home were expecting Garvey to be playing today. So I think this is a good look to start the split off for Fearness, and perhaps a sign of things to come for them. But 20 seconds, Dagda, on this Infernal Drake, and with an Infernal Soul coming up, feels like this is one that both teams might have to fight.
Yeah, and you can see LGD, they're just trying to get priority on this mid lane so they can come across, especially with Fearness having full control but no vision for anyone legend behind themselves. It feels like a no-brainer for LGD to just try and see if they can sneak Fearness in and start picking off members of anyone's legend as they start up this dragon.
Feels so weird to see 3 teleports channeled for a dragon fight, but all within their own territory, just to get players over there without any significant split push threat. Here we go. Anyone's legend on the dragon. Start things off. 5 men strong, grouped up together here. But you got to keep your eyes on Eric, on Yeji, because they're going to have a lot of AoE damage. There's a solar flare going on in JinJiao, trying to disengage on this form, trying to block the damage. He's doing a good job of it. In goes Fearness to the back line as well, and it feels like LGD are winning out so far. Drake low on HP, and it's taken down. LGD still going strong, only losing one member, and Eric's got excited, and he's looking for more kills. That's a zap. Bomb's coming over. Betty can't quite finish the kills, and he's taken down by Fearness, who wants himself a couple more, wants himself that triple kill. ZDZ trying to escape, though, and it looks like he will get away with it.
Yeah, Fearness not quite able to land the shuriken throw, but that is a big victory for LGD. Able to pick up a whole bunch of kills. Dragon going their way as well, and for anyone's legend, just a messy fight where they thought they could get on towards Yeji in the pit. Thought they might have been able to pick off some of the carries, but it was all a ruse cruise, and LGD pick up the win.
Can you give me a definition of a ruse cruise? Is that a...
I'll actually do it with an example. Watch where Yeji is right here, right? He goes into the pit, and everyone's legend's like, the Victor's out of position. Let's get the Victor. But the ruse cruise, he has flash. So when they all jump in, great positioning on coming in Victor W to stop everyone from coming through. Anyone's legend has all the damage that they need. Eric in a phenomenal position to just be able to pick off people at the back. And you arrive safely at port after your nice ruse cruise.
All right, so the cruise was a ruse, and in fact, there was a cruise, but they were cruising for a bruising.
For a bruising, yeah.
Yeah, disaster for anyone's legend, and certainly not a seafaring team. I think that's our conclusion from this one. Get out of the river, guys. Water is not your friend. Up towards the Baron, then, might be the call, as it's 21:30 on the clock, but when you look at that gold lead, 7,000 in favor of LGD, with a Viktor and a Jinx on the team, they certainly have the damage to burn through the big purple worm.
Yeah, I mean, they're already just kind of like plonking themselves up in this top side, right? Clear out the vision, make sure you can push in this top side. And I mean, if you end up showing multiple people on waves like anyone's legend is right now, you can just go for the tier 2 and top. Especially like you can see right now, right? 4 people spotted for anyone's legend just sticking around in this mid lane, which means that, yeah, G's free to just shove it in top. And it's just LGD understanding how they can try and play with the position that they have right now.
Yeah. ZDZ currently doesn't have TP as well. He's on the bottom side of the map, so it could be an opportunity for LGD. As Forge steps too far forward there, and the rocket blocked by JoJo. I thought that was going to be a disaster for Forge there. Minion wave not cleared by the Mega Inferno bomb. Honestly, when Jigs and Ziggs, when Ziggs and Jinx are in this same game, you mix up the ultis. I guess I mix up the names as well. It's been a tough one. It's been a tough one, Dagda. But there's a little bit of bounty goal for ZDZ. At least there's a silver lining here for the absolute legends.
Yeah, they really need something, because this game is very, well, it's already teetered out of their control. They're kind of gripping onto that wheel with maybe 2 fingers, but slowly but surely LGD is prying those away as well, because full vision control topside for Baron. 2 minutes until this next dragon's up, which is going to be the 3rd dragon potentially for LGD, and you've got 3 items on Jinx. Nearly 3 items coming through on towards the Viktor as well, especially by the time that dragon's up. You're going to be firing on all cylinders here for LGD.
Yeah, and not even the chickens are allowed at this point for Xiaohao. He's kind of lost control of this game. ZDZ trying to find a way in, but blocked by the ulti coming out from Shadow. Nicely done here by LGD to maintain control, but then disengage and not over push. I say that though, Solar Flare goes in, as does the rest of Leona. Chocho trying to make the play happen. Shadow still surviving, but taken down finally. And here comes Fearness on the flank. He's TP'd behind the enemy team. Closed on by ZDZ, but the rocket is beautiful. And that's going to be 3 going down. And forget the Baron. They're just looking for towers.
Yeah, 1,000 gold shutdown goes the way of ZDZ, but honestly, it's all LGD. They're moving in. Excited Jinx should be able to take down this inhibitor turret. Need the next wave so then they can go for the inhibitor as Forge. Trying to see if you can pick someone off.
Spoilers, he can't. Oh, he can! I was wrong! Oh, this subverted your expectations. That's great storytelling right there. Eric trying to escape as Forge. Cannot really do much more. Chocho has to back away. LGD, they get a couple of towers. The inhib tower did go down, but they can't finish an inhib.
You and the Forge shadowing, eh? Just making sure that you can set up all the narratives that you need.
Exactly. Forge shadowing, nice.
Here, LGD they get engaged on. Nice ultimate from JinJiao, and it is a good pick, but again, like, not respecting, where are LGD on the map? Yeah, G is already in position, they're not showing anywhere, and you've got another TP ward in behind you to set everything up. Beautiful ult from LGD to finish things up, but we got a Baron, Munch.
Oh, let's go. The absolute legends have just decided to kick it off. They're trying to 50-50 the Baron, and they might just do it, but it's... Oh wait, no, it's not stolen, it was yellow. How am I meant to tell? Huge fight though for LGD, as everyone is wiped off of the map. They got the Baron, but at what cost is the question. Yeg with a double kill, and Eric moves up to the mid lane. It's still only a 2 for 3 though, so still positive, I would say, for anyone's legend.
2 for 3. The bounty on the champions and the bounty on the Baron plus the Baron, that's a significant win for anyone's legends. That's a huge amount of gold that they just got put onto their side, and a lot of that did go to Betty as well, because not only is he going to get his share of the spoils for the bounty, he actually got the double kill on the backline as well, so going to help out pretty significantly. Only issue is LGD, they will secure themselves another dragon here, which will put them on towards Soul Point, and a definitive fight that anyone's legend is going to have to take.
But hey, that gold gap, a lot smaller now. I mean, it's still 5,000, still a big gap in favor of LGD, and now Soul Point when it comes to the Drakes. But at least they're getting a bit of gold back, and you know, when you look at the Ziggs, he's certainly going to be able to slow the game down, because remember, it's not just about getting the Baron for anyone's legend, it's also denying it from LGD. When you're running a Ziggs, you can extend the game a long time when Baron's not in play.
Yeah, G caught out of position.
Yeah, this is not looking good for him, but then again, maybe it is, because here comes Powder. Eric with 1. Can he turn it into more? Because he's very lonely on the map right now. Xiaohao is damn tanky. 4 goes in. JinJiao trying to protect his AD carry. Will he be able to, though? The bomb comes in to finish him off. Shadow is here for the damage, though. JinJiao getting the stun onto one member. They're not quite on the same page, though. Forge now collapsed upon. Is Shadow trying to finish these kills off? Forge jumps back, trying to escape, trying to keep himself alive. Pot taken away, but there's just no way out. Shadow finishes him off, and now Betty's been found by Fearness. Everything's kicking off everywhere on the map. Fearness finishes the Ziggs. It's chaotic, but it's a win for LGD nonetheless.
They just got Baron. They just got the gold. And now it's only left on JinJiao as he's got to hold on to his base. LGD pick off so many members, and now they can start to get control back on this map. It looked like maybe anyone's legend had found the opportunity to get something back for themselves, but it shut down so quickly, and it all starts with this overextension. But they tried to pick off CDZ, but even when he doesn't, or they try to pick off Yeji, but even when he doesn't have the Crown of the Shattered Queen, Viktor's so difficult to just take down as fast as they need to. And by the time that they actually manage to kill off these members, LGD have already shown up. They bought so much time with the stopwatches, and then it's just easy pickings for LGD.
I wasn't sure they were going to catch Forge, honestly, because it looked like Shadow was going to go off and try and chase the Leona, but luckily got on the same page and managed to finish off that extra kill for themselves. And look at the items coming through as well for Eric. 3.5 on the Jinx right now. Very, very strong.
My red.
I mean, he got it. He got it, and he's damn tagged as well. It feels like every time someone goes on to Xiaohao, they just do minuscule amount. I mean, I was watching Eric auto-attack him like 100 times in that last fight, and it barely tickled him. So definitely getting strong on that Olaf. Just whether or not he's going to be able to influence these fights enough. And the same can be said for Betty. He's almost finished death.
The Warden's Hail working up towards the Random's Omen's going to do a lot of work for Xiaohao against the crits that Eric has, but I think the biggest problem that they have is like trying to get control of the map, right? Fearness is going to be pretty easily able to deal with the Camille. She only has 2 items compared to the 3.5 already completed there for Fearness. So you are getting places as ZDZ, but really want that like Ravenous Hydra completed before this becomes a major stopping point for you. And the rest of LGD are in a pretty grand spot to just keep pushing in and keeping the pressure on, especially with Dragon in 2 minutes. It's a team fight you have to take, and you're not really in a prime position as anyone's legend to find these fights.
Yeah, we'll have to see if anyone's legend can find themselves back in contention for this game, because even though they found a few, you know, scraps for themselves, they managed to keep themselves in the game. They got themselves the Baron, etc., etc. 1.5 minutes until that Infernal Soul. And it does feel like, in the grand scheme of scaling, it definitely goes the way of LGD. And we're going to find out in a minute and 20 seconds which team can fight best, right? Because you cannot give this one up side of anyone's legend. This could be the fight that decides it all, Dagda. So, in your mind, how does this have to be played by anyone's legend? How do they win a fight in this kind of situation?
It definitely feels like you need Forge and ZDZ to like blow up either Yeji or Eric on the back line. And probably Eric at this stage, because the 4-item Jinx is going to be causing you a ton of issues. And then hope that just because you don't have as much solid DPS coming out from Yeji, maybe you can claw Viktor out in the fight. And it's going to be some sort of mad combo as JinJiao actually takes a good amount of damage. And I mean, that will help. If you can keep the Braum out of the picture, it'll definitely solidify an easier path to Eric. And you add in the Mega Infernal Bomb from Betty. It's always potential.
And JinJiao actually fully reset there. He's got 20 seconds to get back on the map. But it does mean, regardless of whether or not JinJiao is able to get back, this will be control for anyone's legend. And now, Fearness has to be the one to face check by the looks of things, nominated by the squad. He's certainly strong enough to do it. Rocket belts towards the rush. And now, Drake spawning onto the map. 4 seconds remaining. Anyone's legend have run to the mid lane. They're going to forego Infernal Soul. I don't think that's the call, guys. ZDZ has just suicided into the play. What am I witnessing, Dagda? Anyone's legend. I'm speechless. ZDZ dies. That's Infernal Soul. LGD just got gifted the game on a platter.
They just got it. They had control of River. I was about to say, this is brilliant for anyone's legend. They have no vision in behind them, no TP flanks for Fearness. They're going to be able to set up beautifully, and they walk away.
Can they not count? You can press tab, there's a timer. It tells you how long until the Drake. Here we go. Fight in the jungle. There's Xiaohao has to back away from this one. And LGD, they're like, well, we've got Infernal Soul. We're happy to fight you, so let's just stop Baron. Force you guys to come to us. Yeg moving forwards. Chaos Storm available here. Has to use his Zhonya's very early on in this fight. Rocket goes wide. Maybe a fight that's going the way of anyone's legend so far, but the Chaos Storm doing a lot of work here, and Fearness survives. Eric still going strong, still with a GA. Barely any HP, but LGD somehow get away with 4 people.
Yeah, they'll be able to back away, but LGD got what they came for. Right? Like, even if they don't get Baron, that was kind of the cherry on top. They got the Infernal Soul there. Very much at late game, and I don't want to watch this again. This was stupid. This was just real stupid.
They obviously thought that LGD weren't there because LGD went through the bottom tri-brush. They must have just not realized that LGD were in position to be able to get the Drake. That's the only logical conclusion. As the Baron is going to be taken by LGD, and at this point, it's like taking candy from a samurai panda. Which would sound difficult, right? But it turns out they're huge pushovers we're discovering today. This Betty at least gets himself a chunk of change, but I don't think it's going to make much difference at this point.
To be fair, if you like remember that old video of like the polar bear that's like spinning the stick around his neck and everything like that. Clearly it's the polar bears that are the superior sword fighters. Pandas just don't.
I mean, polar bears are badass, dude. There's, you know, there's those phrases on like how to survive a bear. There's like the, I can't remember the rhyme. There's a rhyme for it where there's like if it's a brown bear,
down,
you got to play dead.
Black, fight back.
Yeah, and then if it's white, good night. That's the other one. Because you don't escape from polar bears. You can play dead, you can fight back. It doesn't matter. You're going down. Polar bears, scary stuff, guys. Don't fight a polar bear. That's my advice.
Munch's safety video is gonna come in handy at some stage. Anyway,
LGD looking like a polar bear right now. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Polar bears not usually that great in a siege situation. Usually like polar flatland combat, but you know, clearly it's working out for them as they go towards the mid lane inhibitor. Nicely done here by LGD. They can move towards the bottom side now, cleaning things up. It's looking like it should be a dub, but there's always room for a throw. This is LPL, and this is LGD versus anyone's legend. And I'm hoping they become everyone's legend in this next fight.
I mean, it's not looking too hot. I feel like they had their chance before the Infernal went over to LGD, but now you've got Yeji, you can get some decent poke. Eric taking those long-range shots as well. They're protecting this cannon minion, kind of. Oh, Penny misses with the Q. So, yeah, now the next wave shows up. This tower's gone down. Mid's down. I'm kind of down on anyone's legend right now.
Well, so is the entire game, I think. That's okay.
Never mind.
There was an attempt. There was an attempt for Forge. Oh, the flash for the Chaos Storm. Jaeger's like, this is how you make the aggressive play, buddy. This is how you mid lane. Eric just keeping him on the fountain. And that is surely game at this point. The inhib goes down. They've got one cannon, so it's going to be difficult for them to push for more until they get another wave. More waves are coming. And I don't know if this is a 2v5 that you guys want to take anyone's legend, but they've decided they're going for it. 2 more go down, and that will finally be the game. LGD 1-0 over anyone's legend.
I think it's hilarious that these 2 series have gone pretty much exactly how we expected. EDG coming in, looking beautiful off the back of a World Championship. JDG still showing a lot of their struggles and signs of weakness from last year. And then we get whatever this was, because I don't know what just happened.
Dagda, I request that you put some respect on the name. It's LGD. I don't know if you know this. They're currently 100% win ratio in the LPL. That is